Walk into any casino, and you'll notice something strange. The machines near the entrance are always loud, colorful, flashing with winds. But walk deeper into the floor, past the buffet, past the high-limit room, and you'll find something different. Machines tucked away in corners, older models with faded graphics, games that don't seem to fit the modern casino aesthetic. Most players walk right past them, and that's exactly what the casino is counting on. Because hidden among the noise and the neon, there are 7 types of slot machines that casinos would prefer you never sit down at. Not because they're broken, not because they're outdated, but because when you understand what these machines really are, the entire psychology of the casino floor starts to unravel. My name is derived from 15 years of working inside the casino industry. I've seen the floor plans. I've sat in the meetings where placement strategies are discussed. And I've watched thousands of players make the same mistakes over and over again, simply because they didn't know what to look for. Today, we're going to change that. We're going to walk through the 7 slot machines casinos hope you'll ignore. We'll talk about why they're positioned where they are, what makes them different, and most importantly, what happens when players figure out the strategy behind them. But here's the thing. This isn't about beating the house. That's not how casinos work. This is about understanding the game you're playing. Because once you see the floor the way casino managers see it, you'll never look at a slot machine the same way again. If you've ever wondered why some machines feel different than others, hit that subscribe button. We're pulling back the curtain on casino psychology, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Let's start with the most overlooked machines on any casino floor. The ones that look like they're from another era. These are what industry insiders call camouflage machines, and they're hiding in plain sight. Picture this. You're walking through a modern casino. Everything is bright, everything is digital, touch screens everywhere. Then you turn a corner near the restrooms or the back hallway, and there's a row of older machines. Mechanical reels, simple graphics, maybe a classic fruit theme or a basic bar and 7 setup. Your first instinct is to keep walking. They look outdated, boring, like relics from the 80s. But here's what most players don't realize. Those older machines often have something the flashy new games don't. Better odds. When casinos upgrade their floors, they don't always remove the older cabinets. Instead, they relocate them to low-traffic areas, places where casual players won't bother sitting down. The logic is simple. If a machine has a higher return-to-player percentage, the casino wants fewer people playing it. So they camouflage it. Not by hiding it completely, but by surrounding it with newer, louder, more exciting games that pull your attention away. I remember one shift where a regular player, an older gentleman who'd been coming in for years, sat down at a dusty 3-reel machine near the back exit, the kind of machine most people assume is loose change only. But he knew something the tourists didn't. That machine had been grandfathered in under an older gaming commission approval. Its RTP was set at 96%. Meanwhile, the brand new video slots 10 feet away were hovering around 88%. He didn't win every time. That's not how slots work. But over the course of a month, his losses were significantly smaller than the players chasing bonus rounds on the fancy screens. The casino knew that machine was there. They could have removed it, but they also knew most players would never sit down at it. It didn't have the appeal. It didn't have the spectacle. And that's the strategy. Casinos don't need to hide their better machines. They just need to make them boring enough that you'll ignore them. So the next time you're on a casino floor, pay attention to the machines that don't fit, the ones that look out of place.
Because sometimes the most unassuming game is the one the casino hopes you'll walk right past. Noticed an old machine tucked away in a corner? Drop a comment and tell us where you found it. Let's map out these hidden gems together. Now let's talk about placement, specifically the machines at the end of every row. Walk down any slot aisle, and you'll notice something consistent. The machines at the ends are always different. Brighter, louder, more active. They seem to pay out more often than the games in the middle of the row. But here's the thing. They're not paying out more. They're just appearing to pay out more. This is what's called an aisle end trap, and it's one of the oldest tricks in the casino playbook. The machines at the end of a row are placed in high visibility positions. They're the first thing you see when you enter a section. They're the last thing you notice when you walk away. And because of that visibility, casinos program these machines to trigger small wins more frequently. Not bigger wins, just more of them. The sound of coins hitting a tray, the flash of bonus symbols, the ding of a payout, all of it creates the perception that this machine is hot, that it's hitting, that if you sit down right now, you might catch the streak. But here's what's happening behind the scenes. Those frequent small wins are designed to break even. You're winning, sure, but you're winning back just enough to keep playing. The actual return on those machines is often lower than the games in the middle of the row, where foot traffic is slower and visibility is reduced. I've seen this strategy in action during floor audits. Managers would deliberately place new games at aisle ends during their first few weeks. The goal was to generate buzz, to make it look like the machine was paying. And once word spread, players would line up, convinced they'd found a winner. But the math didn't lie. Over time, those aisle-end machines pulled in more revenue per square foot than almost any other position on the floor. The lesson here is simple. Visibility doesn't equal value. Just because a machine is easy to see doesn't mean it's easy to win. The smart players know this. They skip the ends. They walk deeper into the rows, where the machines aren't trying to sell themselves, because that's where the casino's attention isn't. And that's exactly where you want to be. Ever felt drawn to a machine just because it was loud? You're not alone. Like this video if you've fallen for the aisle end trap before. Now let's shift to a section of the casino most players trust completely. The loyalty club area. You know the spot. It's near the player's card desk, usually close to the cage or the reward center. The machines here are often newer, well-maintained, and they're marketed as exclusive or reserved for members. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The machines in the loyalty club area are often some of the tightest on the entire floor. I call this zone the loyalty graveyard. And once you understand why it exists, the whole dynamic of casino marketing starts to make sense. Think about the type of player who sits in this section. They're already enrolled in the loyalty program. They've already committed to the casino. They're earning points, chasing tier status, trying to unlock comps and benefits. In other words, they're not going anywhere. And the casino knows that. So the machines in this area don't need to be generous. They don't need to entice. The player is already invested. They've already bought into the system, which means the house can afford to tighten the odds without worrying about losing that customer. I saw this firsthand during a quarterly review meeting. The floor manager pulled up performance data for the loyalty zone, and the numbers were stark. Machines in that section had lower RTPs than the general floor average, but player session times were longer, spend per visit was higher, and complaints were minimal. Why? Because players in the loyalty zone were focused on points, not payouts.
They were grinding for rewards, and as long as the points kept accumulating, they didn't notice the machine wasn't hitting. It's a psychological trade-off. The casino gives you points, you give them lower odds. And because the points feel like progress, you stay longer than you would anywhere else on the floor. But here's what changes when you recognize this pattern. You start to separate loyalty rewards from actual gameplay value. You realize that earning points on a tight machine isn't the same as playing a fair game. The smarter move? Earn your points on machines outside the loyalty zone. Play the games casinos don't specifically design for committed players. Because the best value on the floor isn't in the section labeled exclusive. It's in the places where the casino is still trying to win your business, not where they've already won it. Are you chasing points or chasing wins? Let us know in the comments how you balance loyalty rewards with smart gameplay. Now we need to talk about the machines with the biggest numbers on the floor, the progressives. You've seen them. Mega jackpot, mega fortune, mega bucks. The counters spinning upward, sometimes into the millions. The signs promising life-changing money. The stories of winners plastered on the walls. And it's tempting, of course it is, because what if today is your day? But here's what casinos don't advertise. Progressive machines are some of the worst bets on the entire floor. Not because the jackpots aren't real, they are. Someone does eventually win. But the odds of that someone being you are astronomically low. And while you're chasing that million-dollar dream, the machine is quietly draining your bankroll faster than almost any other game in the building. Let me explain how progressives work. Every time someone plays, a small percentage of their bet goes into the jackpot pool. That's how the number grows. But to fund that massive top prize, the base game has to be tightened significantly. The regular payouts, the small wins, the bonus rounds, all of it is calibrated to pay less so the progressive can pay more. The result? Your money disappears faster. Your session ends sooner. And unless you hit that 1 in 50 million combination, you walk away with nothing. I remember a conversation with a game designer at a trade show. He was candid in a way most people in the industry aren't. He said progressive machines are designed to generate excitement, not returns. The jackpot is the marketing. The gameplay is the revenue. And it works. Players see the big number and ignore the math. They focus on the dream and overlook the drain. But here's what experienced players understand. If you want longevity on the casino floor, if you want more spins and more chances, you avoid the progressives. You play the machines where the payouts are distributed more evenly. Where the base game isn't sacrificed for a top prize you'll statistically never hit. Does that mean no one should ever play a progressive? Not necessarily. If you're there for entertainment, if you're chasing the thrill of a long-shot dream, then go for it. But if you're trying to maximize your time and minimize your losses, progressives are a trap. They're the mirage on the casino floor. Beautiful from a distance, tempting when you're thirsty. But the closer you get, the more you realize there's nothing there. And by the time you figure it out, your bankroll is already gone. Have you ever chased a progressive jackpot? Share your story below. We want to hear how it went. Let's move to the most crowded part of the casino, the main walkways. These are the paths everyone takes, the routes between the hotel lobby and the casino floor, the corridors leading to restaurants, elevators, and exits. High traffic, constant movement, and lining both sides rows of slot machines. Most players don't think twice about them. They're convenient, you're walking by anyway, why not take a shot? But here's the reality. The machines along main walkways are almost always the worst on the floor. I call them crosswalk bait, and they're designed to catch impulsive players who aren't paying attention. Think about the mindset of someone walking through a casino. They're on their way somewhere. They're distracted. Maybe they're heading to dinner. Maybe they're leaving for the night. They're not in gambling mode. They're in transition. And that's when the casino strikes. The machines along these walkways are positioned to encourage spontaneous play. A quick 20, a few spins while you wait for your friend. Just a little action before you leave. But because these players aren't committed, because they're not sitting down for a session, the casino can afford to tighten the odds. The goal isn't to keep you there, it's to catch your impulse, to extract a quick bet from someone who wasn't planning to gamble in the first place. During my time on the floor, I watched behavioral data from crosswalk machines. The average session length was under 5 minutes. Most players lost quickly and moved on. But the volume was high enough that these machines generated significant revenue simply through sheer traffic. It's a numbers game. Not every passerby plays, but enough do that the casino profits even with low engagement per player. The smarter players recognize this. They never play the crosswalk machines. They understand that convenience is a cost, that accessibility comes with a price. If you're going to gamble, you sit down with intention. You choose your spot deliberately. You don't let the casino choose it for you just because the machine happened to be in your path. Because the moment you play on impulse, the moment you let location dictate your decision, you've already lost the mental game. And that's the game that matters most. Ever played a machine just because it was there? Tell us in the comments if you've been caught by the crosswalk bait. Now let's talk about the room most players dream of entering, the high-limit area. Private, exclusive, reserved for serious players. The machines here have higher denominations, dollar slots, $5 slots, sometimes higher. The decor is nicer, the service is better, free drinks come faster. And there's an assumption that because you're betting more, you're getting better odds. But that assumption is wrong. The high-limit room is one of the biggest illusions on the casino floor. And it's designed to make you feel like you're playing a better game even when you're not. Here's the truth. High denomination doesn't mean high return. In fact, many high-limit machines have RTPs comparable or even lower than the standard floor games. The difference isn't in the odds, it's in the bet size. You're risking more per spin, which means your bankroll drains faster. And while the machine might hit a big payout occasionally, the volatility is higher. The swings are more dramatic. You can lose thousands in minutes. But because the room feels exclusive, because the atmosphere suggests prestige, players assume they're getting something better. They're not. They're just paying more for the same product in better packaging and charging you a premium for the experience. I remember a conversation with a high-limit regular who finally ran the numbers. He'd been playing $5 slots for years, convinced the house edge was lower. But when he compared his results to his friend who played quarter slots on the main floor, the loss rate per hour was nearly identical. The only difference was the speed. He lost faster because he was betting more, but the percentage was the same. That's the illusion. The casino wraps the same product in better packaging and charges you a premium for the experience. Now, does that mean no one should ever play high limit? Not necessarily. If you have the bankroll, if you enjoy the atmosphere, if you're there for the service and the privacy, then it's worth it. But if you're expecting better odds just because the machine costs more, you're going to be disappointed. The best odds on the floor aren't determined by location. They're determined by game design and regulatory requirements.
And those don't change just because you're in a nicer room. So before you step into that high-limit area, ask yourself, are you paying for better odds or just better furniture? Because most of the time, it's the latter. Have you played in a high-limit room? Drop a comment and let us know if it lived up to the hype or if you felt the illusion. We're almost done, but there's one more machine type we need to discuss, and it's the last one you'll see before you leave. The exit machines. Every casino has them.
They're positioned right near the doors, right before you walk out into the parking lot or back to your hotel room, and they serve one very specific purpose: to catch you on your way out. Think about your mindset when you're leaving a casino. Maybe you've been playing for hours. Maybe you've lost more than you planned. Maybe you're tired, frustrated, ready to call it a night. But then you walk past a machine near the exit, and a thought creeps in. Just one more spin. One last shot. What if this is the one? That's the exit ambush, and it's designed to exploit your emotional state at the end of a session. You're not thinking clearly. You're not playing strategically. You're reacting. And the casino knows that players in this state are vulnerable to impulse. So they place machines right where you'll see them, right where you'll hesitate. And more often than not, that hesitation turns into a quick 20, a few more spins, and before you know it, you're back in for another hour. These machines don't need to pay well. They just need to be there. Because the conversion rate, the percentage of leaving players who stop to play, is high enough that the house profits simply from positioning. I've watched surveillance footage of exit zones during peak hours. The number of players who pause, turn around, and sit down is staggering. And most of them leave with less than they had when they first walked toward the door. It's the final test, the last psychological trap. And if you recognize it, you can walk right past it. Because the best decision you can make in a casino isn't about which machine to play. It's about when to stop. And once you've decided to leave, you leave. No last spin, no second guessing. You walk out the door. Ever turned around for one last spin? You're not alone. Share your exit ambush story in the comments below. So here's what we've learned today. The casino floor isn't random. It's not a chaotic mix of machines scattered without thought. Every placement, every position, every cabinet has a purpose. And that purpose is to guide your behavior in ways you don't consciously notice. The camouflage machines hiding in plain sight. The aisle-end traps designed to look hot. The loyalty graveyards where committed players get tighter odds. The progressive mirages that promise millions while draining hundreds. The crosswalk bait catching impulse plays. The high-limit illusions selling exclusivity without better math. And the exit ambush waiting for your moment of weakness. 7 types of machines, 7 strategies, all designed to keep you playing, keep you spending, and keep you from noticing the patterns. But now you know. And knowledge changes everything. Does this mean you'll win every time you walk onto a casino floor? No, that's not how gambling works. The house always has an edge. The math is always in their favor, and no amount of awareness will change the fundamental structure of the game. But what awareness does is give you control. It lets you make informed decisions. It helps you avoid the traps designed to exploit emotion and impulse. It allows you to play on your terms, not the casino's. And that's the real power here. Not beating the house, but understanding it. Because the moment you stop reacting and start observing, the entire casino looks different. You see the strategy behind the layout. You recognize the psychology behind the placement. You notice the patterns most players miss. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So the next time you walk into a casino, take a moment. Look around. Notice where the machines are. Notice which ones are loud and which ones are quiet. Notice where the crowds gather and where the empty seats are. Because the machines casinos hope you'll ignore, those are the ones worth paying attention to. Not because they're magic, not because they're guaranteed, but because they're the ones the house isn't counting on you to find. And sometimes, that's the smartest play you can make. If this video changed the way you see the casino floor, subscribe for more insider breakdowns. Drop a comment with the biggest thing you learned today, and share this with anyone who loves slots because they need to see this too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.